Hello and welcome back to what I wished I'd known before I got started with self-publishing or its variations thereof. I am Karlie with Dragon Key Press, and today we're going to do a little bit of real talk in regards to the business aspect, but it folds into the formatting aspect as well, and that is imprint names and trademarks. You've heard me use the term imprint, publisher of record, and trademarks in previous videos, and we did briefly go over them and why they're important. But it's time to really get into some details on these terms and why they're important. There is a reason I'm inserting this now instead of at a later date. You will need this information going forward when it comes to formatting, actually publishing, and promoting your book. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of imprint or publisher names. Why is it important to choose a publisher or imprint name? Well, think of it this way. Your chosen imprint or publisher name is your brand name, or mark in the business world. It's the name people may know you by, at least in regards to publishing. Having a publisher name gives you more legitimacy as a professional. And make no mistake, now that you've chosen this course, you are now a professional, a business owner. So your business, your brand, needs a name. This can be pretty much anything you want, within reason. Some things are obviously not appropriate. Even if you choose to be a sole proprietor, meaning you aren't hiring other people outside of contract work to work for your publishing house. Most self-published authors at least start out as a sole proprietorship. This gives your imprint name legitimacy and makes you sound less like an amateur out there who's just trying to make a quick buck through bad writing and book packaging. Believe me, there are a lot. And while self-publishing is slowly losing its stigma, which is a byproduct of those vanity or assisted publishing houses, there are people and organizations out there who won't touch you with a 10-foot pole if they think you're self-published. To them, it screams amateur, clickbait, or something similar. So let's not make this mistake. Another way to look at an imprint name is to look at another common term for it, DBA, or doing business as. This basically tells the world you are trying to be a legit business, not just someone out there causing chaos for kicks and giggles, or someone just playing around, because let's face it, if you are serious about self-publishing, you should treat it seriously. This is a business, not just a hobby. There are plenty of people out there who won't treat it as a legit business, just as a heads up, a little cautionary tale there, or they might not consider it one. As a self-publishing author, it is an uphill battle for legitimacy and to get a good toehold in the book market. But it is worth the effort you put into it. So make sure you look at the options before committing. Even those traditionally published struggle for a sense of legitimacy among family and friends. Regardless of what they may think, remember that this is a business, a job, more than a full-time one at that. And just as legit as working in an office, or a warehouse, or wherever. And just because you don't make money right off the bat, does not mean you won't. Just keep those things in mind when you're starting into this, because it will be a bit of a struggle at first, but once you figure everything out, how it works best for you, things will go a lot more smoothly. So, back to choosing an imprint or a publisher name. Whatever you pick, you want it to be unique. It can be your name or something completely different. Whatever you pick, I suggest doing an internet search to make sure no one else is using that name as a business name. I also recommend checking with the local, county, and state databases of business names to make sure you're not trying to use someone else's brand name, many of which may be trademarked. And believe me when I say that's not a battle you want to fight. You can check to see if your intended imprint is already taken as a trademark by going to the trademark website and performing a search for registered marks at the following address, https://www.uspto.gov/trademarks/search. I also recommend looking up the intended name on Amazon or similar as a publisher name to see if it's currently in use or has something similar enough that it might be an issue. Facebook might also be a good place to look, as many tend to at least have a page there. You can also look on other social media sites like Twitter or MeWe. Once you've got that all settled, you really should fill out a fictitious business name or FBN, or doing business as certificate, the DBA, in the county where you live. Not every self-published author does this, but it is highly recommended. There is a fee to register, but they're usually pretty low and can be used as business expenses on your taxes. Usually you file this information through the state or county secretary or similar agency, but you can hire a lawyer or accountant or one of those types of services to do it for you. Some states require you to post a public notice of your FBN or DBA in a local newspaper or similar to let the people know you're doing business under that name. Make sure you check with your local governments, as well as figuring out when you have to renew said certificates, so that someone else doesn't swoop in when it expires and claim it as their own. The next step is to get an EIN, or Employer Identification Number, and you do this through the IRS. This helps with reporting taxes, gives you privacy as an individual, since it separates it from your actual personal stuff, and security in the whole tax reporting process. This is a number assigned to your business through the IRS after registering with them. The process can be a bit complicated, so make sure you read everything carefully. Once you've chosen your business type, it does become a process to change it to something different, like from a sole proprietorship to an LLC. So know what you're getting yourself into before committing to it. The EIN will also be used for business transactions, though you can still have people use your actual name and social security number on I-9 forms. But using that EIN gives you that extra layer of security on a legal end. It's better to have people come after the business instead of you directly. Keep your business stuff separate from your personal stuff as much as possible. It's a pain to set up, but you'll thank me later. And don't lose the documents, electronic or otherwise, that contains that number because it's a pain to retrieve from the IRS. Save it in a safe place, save it in triplicate, but make sure you have it saved. Once you've filed your FBN or DBA and gotten that EIN, yeah I know, lots of acronyms, you may be required to get a business license and pay taxes on your business. Most cities and counties do seem to require this, so make sure you check on your local government websites for requirements and any forms they may require. Once you've got that done, you can set up bank accounts and get credit cards in your business name. No bank will set up a business account unless you have that FBN/DBA and a business license. At least not an official one. It won't have it as your business name, because they have to have that as a legit legal, yeah, this is me, to set up the account in that way. You can have a separate bank account for your business, and this is strongly encouraged, which is why it's very important to get all of those other things in order. This protects your business finances and your personal finances, keeping them separate, so that if anybody tries to come over and go after your business, your personal private funds are safe. Having this separate account also helps you keep track of your business expenses and earnings. But unless you have it set up as a business account with the correct name, your bank will not cash any checks given to you under your chosen business name. So if you haven't gotten to this point, set up your account in the business name, etc., but have already put out a book or two and possibly gotten paid for it with a check using your chosen imprint name, you're kind of out of luck. Unless you had them use your actual name and not the business name. And believe me when I say it was a pain to try and make sure I got paid. PayPal is great for credit card transactions, sales of your work using credit cards, or even money transfers. There are other services like Squarespace and even Cash App that will do the same, and you can link your business account to them. PayPal is the one I use, so it's the one I know the most about. But do your homework and see what works best for you. This is definitely important if you plan on selling your books in person, like at a book fair, or any venue where the sales are all on you. Not everybody likes to pay in cash anymore. There are some areas that have groups and or organizations set up that will allow you to sell your books through their system. But be careful and make sure they're legit before using them. These are usually third parties, and they may or may not always have exactly what you're looking for or what you need, and they may not always be on the up and up. Also, please note, depending on what state you live in, you may be required to collect a sales tax with every sale. There's a lot more involved with that, so I won't get into too much detail here. But if you make under a certain amount of money from your books, you're usually in the clear, at least as far as the IRS is concerned on a federal level. Again, make sure you check your local, county, and state requirements before committing. If your state has a sales tax, definitely plan to pay whatever government entity they have set up for that. It should automatically be a part of your budget. Selling your books on places like Amazon or Barnes & Noble will automatically take care of it for you. But if selling in person, not through a third party, you will definitely need to keep that in mind. And when I say that Amazon and those kinds of places will take care of it for you, that does not mean you won't still owe taxes if you make over a certain amount of money in a year. Sometimes it's even quarterly or half year, so make sure you know what the different requirements are for your area. If you're selling in person, not through a third party, you will definitely need to keep in mind that you may have to have a sales tax permit. This is definitely required if your state requires a sales tax. This can also be called a sales permit, a sales tax ID, or a sales tax permit. Just plain out and out. Just don't confuse that with a reseller certificate, reseller's license, or a resale license, because you're not reselling, you are selling straight from you. And those licenses are completely different. Save yourself a headache, make sure you're going for the right one. This may also allow you to purchase items in bulk without having to worry about sales tax, but double check with your area to be sure it's necessary. There is a great book out there with a lot more information on the business end of self-publishing. It's called Self-Publisher's Legal Handbook. I highly recommend it. It can be a bit heavy reading, so take your time to go through it, but the information is invaluable. Now, once you've got your imprint name decided on, I strongly encourage you to buy a domain name for it as soon as possible, even if you're just using your name. That way no one else can buy it and then charge you out the nose for it, or use it to confuse potential customers with content totally unrelated to what you're offering. By domain name, I mean that website name, like Amazon.com or whatever business. It will also give you an internet presence with potential international reach. Don't worry if you're not all that techno-savvy. There are website builders that can help with templates and the like. Squarespace is one, Weebly is another, and those two are fairly user-friendly. There are a lot more out there, so shop around. There are some who use Blogger and just tie the domain to it so that typing in the web address takes you directly to the blog instead of a random website. And there are plenty of services out there that will help for a fee if needed. You can also hire somebody to create a website for you. Create a unique mark or image to represent your brand. Some might refer to this as a logo. Like the distinctive penguin used by Penguin Putnam, it helps to have something that people see and immediately associate with your business name. If you can, and have the money, by all means register your mark with the U.S. Trademark Office. There is a fee, of course, to do this, and a period while they make sure it doesn't infringe on someone else's mark. But it will give you more legal protection if someone tries to use it without permission, especially if they're infringing on your business. I'll try to go into greater detail about that later. There are legal services that will help you do it, but they will add their own fee on top of it. So if you're low on funds, either do it yourself or wait until you can afford it. Chances are good you're okay waiting unless your book really takes off. In the meantime, you can still call it your trademark. You just can't use the little circle with the R in it because that means it's registered. Just as a reminder, you cannot trademark a book title. You can trademark a series name, as that is a brand. You can trademark a phrase, a word, a symbol, a device, or even a color if it is unique. However, the item must be used in a commercial setting to obtain protection from the law. It's always good to come up with a unique mark or image to represent your brand. You cannot trademark proper names or likenesses without consent from the person. You cannot trademark generic terms, phrases, or the like, government symbols or insignia, vulgar or disparaging words or phrases, the likeness of a U.S. president, former or current, anything immoral, deceptive, or scandalous in word or symbol. Nor can you trademark sounds or short motifs. These are covered by copyright. Trademarks last 10 years, after which they will need to be renewed, so keep that in mind. There is a lot more that goes into trademarks, as I've previously mentioned, so that will be an episode all on its own somewhere down the line. But hopefully this has helped you get an idea of how to go about getting an imprint, why it's more than important, and what you need to do to get it all set and sorted. As usual, if you have any questions, comments, etc., feel free to reach out, leave a comment, etc. I'm Karlie with Dragon Key Press, and I hope to see you next time.